Mr. Pappas? Yes. Mrs. Stone?
What?
No, there, that's better, isn't it? Okay, thank you. Motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes. Okay, at this time, we'll open the public hearing for case 2-2019 Anderson. We'll hear first from the staff and the applicant. Hello, Paul.
Make sure everything's working. Okay, good. Good evening. We have a public hearing tonight for case 2-2019 Anderson. This is for a proposed zone change and as well as a substantial modification to a previously approved case in 1976. The location is at 6882 and 6900 Beachmont Avenue. And this is for the Mount Washington Care Center. The facility itself is zone DD, which is planned multifamily, and then the parcel adjacent to the facility is zone C residence. The request is to change everything to DD as well as a substantial modification again to the previously approved case. The rezoning will support an addition to the facility, a 22,000 square foot addition. This would be a one-story addition for 28 single-bed nursing care units, and also involved with the addition would be a facade improvement to the front of the facility as well as to the west facade of the facility, and then just an interior renovation of the older facility. The goal is to convert all double occupancy rooms to single occupancy rooms, so not necessarily to increase capacity of the facility, but to upgrade the facility for single occupancy rooms. This is the zoning history. Again, the original zone change took place in 1976. There have been some minor improvements along the way in 2002. And then in 2019, this is when the zone change was heard. This is the site in question. If you can see, this is Beachmont Avenue here. This is the existing facility. This is the parcel that is already zone DD. This is the adjacent parcel that is zone C. There used to be a single-family residence on this site that was torn down once Mount Washington Care purchased that property. This is an aerial of the site in question. Surrounding zoning, which we'll get to the slide, but the surrounding uses, there are apartment buildings, multifamily to the east of the site. There are single-family homes to the west of the site. To the south is Beach Acres Parenting Center and Beach Acres Park, and to the north are single-family. This is the topography map. Majority of the site is flat, except for the northern portion. There's a steep grade down to the creek. This is the zoning. Again, the existing zoning plan multifamily. The apartments are also zoned multifamily. And then the surrounding zoning is C, single family. This is the demolition plan, which is primarily the vegetation on the site. This is the proposed addition. Again, this is the existing facility. So the addition would create a courtyard. The entrance, main entrance, would be located to the front of the building facing Beachmont Avenue. A circular drive would be included for drop-off, and then the parking lot would be connected to one single access point on Beachmont Avenue. The parking would be improved on the east side. There's already parking on that side. However, it will be widened to accommodate a wider drive aisle, and then there is parking toward the rear of the site.
So is that a completely enclosed courtyard then?
Yes. This is the landscaping plan. Landscaping in the parking area will be added to be conforming with the township's landscaping requirements. And additional landscaping and screening is being proposed along the western border of the site. This is the lighting plan, which has been submitted. In the site plan, it said it had not, but it has been submitted and is compliant with the zoning regulations. And these are the proposed elevations. This would be facing Beachmont Avenue with a new entrance, and then the west elevation. These are the current site photos looking from Beachmont toward the facility, the existing facility with the entrance on the side. This was the driveway to the former house that was demolished. So this is the property that is Zone C, single family. There is a driveway immediately to the west that serves 2 homes on flag lots to the west of the property. This is looking to the north. This is looking across the street at the Beach Acres Parenting Center. This is looking east on Beachmont Avenue at the existing sign. A sidewalk is proposed along Beachmont Avenue in this area. These are some of the trees that are located along the private drive that serves the panhandle lots, and we'll discuss those later on in the presentation. And this is a very substantial tree also located on that drive, which we'll talk about. So back to the site plan. The township conducted a pre-submittal meeting in November of 2018, and then on March the 7th, 2019 was the public hearing before Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission, who approved the case with conditions. The Zoning Commission, Township Zoning Commission, heard the case on March the 25th, also recommended approval with conditions. Zoning resolution compliance with this, everything is in compliance with zoning. In the staff report, again, it stated that a lighting plan was not submitted, but it has been submitted and it is compliant. With the zone change, we look at the township's adopted plans, specifically the comprehensive plan. The future land use identified this for single family, but as was discussed in regional planning staff report and the zoning commission staff report, staff and regional planning and zoning commission felt that this use was compatible with the neighborhood. It was adjacent to an institutional use. There are other institutional uses within the neighborhood. So both commissions felt that the proposed land use is consistent with the future land use map of the comprehensive plan, as well as the different goals and objectives which are identified in your staff report. The Beachmont plan identifies a consolidated driveway for all properties on Beachmont, which they have shown. Originally, they were proposing 2 curb cuts on Beachmont, but that has been since modified to have 1 consolidated access point. Our Beachmont plan also recommended cross-access to the apartments, but through the public hearings, it was decided that the best goal was to have a consolidated access point at this point in time. Easement or cross-access to the apartments, that particular use in the nursing facility aren't necessarily compatible with cross-access. So it was determined to just have 1 access, and that's what the zoning commission recommended. The design guidelines, the proposed elevation, especially moving the front entrance facing Beachmont Avenue, is consistent with our design guidelines. The site planning, the majority of the parking is in the rear, except for this parking over here, which is, again, is adjacent to multifamily. So there is little parking on this side adjacent to the single family. There is a few parking spaces in the front, but that will be screened with some landscaping. The drive aisle over here, there was discussion of pulling this away from the single family as much as possible, and the applicants have tried to achieve that. There is discussion regarding a shagbark hickory tree, which is very substantial, that we feel is located in this general vicinity. This is the picture of that tree. We think it's located here. The zoning commission recommended a condition that that tree be identified on the final development plan and to ensure its safety. In ensuring its safety, there is some grading that will be needed for the detention facility. There's also stormwater lines that are proposed in this area. So the zoning commission was concerned and wanted to make sure that tree was identified and protected during construction, and to make sure that the grading would be pulled away from that tree. The other item of concern as far as site design was screening these homes. There is a home here that faces Beachmont there's a home here that faces the nursing home. So the applicants have proposed a solid fence through this whole area with landscaping on the outside of the fence. It stops in this general vicinity because there are other two mature maple trees that they are trying to preserve. And then the applicant has proposed arborvitae trees to help screen the rest of that area. There is a single-family home here that faces Beachmont Avenue, and these trees up here were what you saw in the photo. Some had been trimmed by Duke, so the applicant was going to evaluate which ones of those should be saved and which ones have already been damaged by the utility pruning. The other township plans, the trails and walkway plan, again, the applicant's proposing a sidewalk along Beachmont Avenue as well as a connection up to the front door. And the Economic Development Committee submitted a letter of support. So with that, the recommendation is for approval of the zone change because of the 5 reasons up on the screen and in the staff report, as well as the 6 conditions that are in the staff report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Andrew, you have any questions?
Well, the only parking, going back to the site plan for just a second, on the house side, the only parking I see is towards the front, is that correct?
No, it's clear in the back.
No, I see some spaces towards the front.
There are some spaces in the front.
There's nothing along that service drive going to the back, though.
No. And so this additional parking here is to replace, currently there's parking on this side of the building. So the additional parking up front, there is some additional parking here, is to help offset the loss of those spaces along this side of the building.
And the detention pond is new, there's not any existing.
So there is no detention on this site since it was constructed in 1976. They are actually proposing 2 detention areas,
Okay.
one in the back of the property and then one in the front, because the site has a fall to the back and to the front. So they are trying to capture, they will be capturing stormwater now, whereas before there was no detention on
And
the
where
site.
does that creek run to right now?
So the back detention will go to the creek to the
Right,
north.
with that existing creek, where does it run?
That's along Pattison.
It does.
And then the front, there's a stormwater drainage swell that runs between Beach Acres and the new Stonecrest Living Facility in that general area.
So it actually is going to help improve the stormwater retention in that area?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Any other, okay. I don't have any questions. Is the applicant here? They gonna
Mr.
speak?
Payne's here.
Thank you.
Ben Payne, I'm the project architect on behalf of the owner. I want to say that Paul's been excellent to work with Anderson Township. They certainly provide excellent customer service to shepherd this project through the process. And he's done a great job on the summary, so I'm here to answer any questions you may have. I will say that this is providing a much-needed service in the area for the senior population. It is a transitional care facility, so residents that have that need, which tend to be the population that might be exiting a hospital, and their capacity to operate on their own is diminished being in a hospital stay, that they will come to a facility like this and get the required rehab they need to get back on their feet again and be able to resume their lives prior to being in a hospital. And we'll also have some interior improvements facility also as part of this submittal for the construction.
Okay.
Your elevation, are you redoing the whole, or is it just the front and west, or are you redoing all the elevation around the hall?
We will be
Right
keeping-
now, it's more of a French like this.
Yeah, the main principal facade is, and entrance is in this area, so we'll be covering that up. So there is a porch that will come off of the building, and then this will actually give us a street presence for the building, because currently the entrance is off to the side, it's kind of off from the street. So this will actually provide a much nicer street presence for the facility also. So this is all new, and currently we're not planning any exterior modifications to the existing building, because most of it will be to the back of the facility, so.
Except across the entire front, though. That'll be all like our picture. Yeah.
This will all be new. This is
Yeah.
all single-story addition. This is pretty much from the street side about how much you would see
Right.
now. And we also landscaping improvements along all of this. So it'll actually be much more dense with trees. And that'll be our exterior improvement for the existing facilities.
So will that
that's good.
interior courtyard, would that have patient access?
Yes, yeah, that will be accessible. And so some residents will have views into this courtyard and provide a secure environment.
Yeah.
If a resident actually wants to be outside at any time of the day, they will have access to that area.
Okay. Do you have any more questions, Andrew?
Nope.
No questions from me? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, members of the audience who wish to speak in favor or opposition to the requested zone change may address the board at this time. Please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to a maximum of 3 minutes.
My name's Mark Jacobs, and I'm the residence to the west, the northwest parcel, 6884 Beachmont.
Are you the one in the back? Or
The very far,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm part owner of the,
The green button is the
oh, the pointer.
If you
There we
wanna
go.
use the green
I know you
button
might.
to help.
So I'm that owner, and then I'm part owner of that parcel also. And then the nursing home, they've been great neighbors the whole time, and they've worked and everything. And I've talked to Paul extensively about the property line. And they've, agreed to extend that fence along the property line and to protect that tree. And then there's those 2 maples that they're worried about up there, and they don't want to extend the fence to there. So we understand that with
Okay.
the tree thing, but when they try to go to save that bigger tree, it's not, they're not going to be able to put the fence right onto that either. And that's our concern about how, and Paul, we couldn't locate the pin of how far the fence is going to come from the back property line up. So we don't really know the length of the 6-foot fence. And then when the arborvitaes that are on the plans are going to start from there out. And
So
then-
you're, okay.
And then our concern with, and like I talked to Paul the other day, was if they're gonna have to box that tree in somehow, because I have grandkids and all that, with the property, they're gonna have to make some kind of thing to make sure it's safe for the tree also to box that big tree.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
Okay.
So you just want to make sure that the trees that are there are protected as much
As
as possible and.
As well as your fencing.
Yeah, and the fencing, and we don't really know how far the fencing, we looked on the plan and we couldn't locate it exactly. I see the pin, and I know that they just haven't finished it completely, but I'm sure they will and before it's all done. That's it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have an answer for that? Do you know yet how?
Respond to Mr. Jacobs' answer. We do have a landscape architect as part of our team.
Mm-hmm.
So we will make the utmost care to preserve the mature trees on the site. And the fence was a reaction to Mr. Jacobs wanting privacy along this property line here. So I think our goal is certainly not to jeopardizing the trees. So we'll be certainly cognizant of that. And we will provide the required landscaping per the zoning requirements. And if the fence will compromise that tree, we will find another way to provide the privacy and screening without doing a fence. So
Okay.
we'll consult with the landscape architect, make sure that whatever we do move forward with our final plan will actually not compromise the landscaping, but give the providing screening that's necessary.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I will now close the public hearing and Andrew will introduce the resolution.
I don't have it. You got it?
Oh, I guess I do. You don't have it? Let me find it.
Andrew. Oh, thanks.
You got it? Oh, 2C. He's got it.
With that, I'll move to adopt a resolution number 190418, case 2-2019 Anderson, 6882 and 6900 Beachmont Avenue.
Second.
Mr. Travis?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
It's nice to have neighbors working together and, progress doesn't have to always be adversarial, and it's nice that you guys get along and are speaking to each other, so thank you for Yeah, I mean, it doesn't always
Yeah,
happen
no,
that
it doesn't,
way,
and we
so,
appreciate that. And
appreciate
actually,
you guys being good neighbors to each other.
and I think the facade along Beachmont Avenue is going to look way better, so we appreciate you investing the funds in
When
this.
is your scheduled start date? I didn't ask that. When do you think, I mean, scheduled?
We don't have a current construction start date yet.
Right.
But we will start soon the next phase to get this final complete and back into its own.
Well, Dee's always looking for a new place to.
Now, I'm really thrilled about the sidewalks. That's what makes me the most happy is the
Well, you could walk
sidewalks.
from there. If you live
I
there, you
do
could-
walk over there, yeah.
Good, well, you could
Right
walk
now,
there.
there's no sidewalk, so I'm very familiar with it, so thank you. And thanks for saving the tree. Appreciate that, too. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Great Tree Awards. Paul?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Bye.
So the Great Tree Award, this is our second year in this award. In this program, this is sponsored by our Anderson Township Tree Committee. Nominations are taken throughout the year for great trees throughout the township, and there are 3 categories: a shade tree category, an ornamental tree, and an evergreen tree. So throughout the year, pictures are submitted during the different seasons, and during their January meeting, the tree committee took the nominations and recommended these 3 winners that we will present tonight. So the first category, our winner in the shade tree category. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be advancing the slides. This is a northern red oak. It's located at
That's pretty.
6045 Gwendolyn Drive. The location, or the owner is Angela and Brett Harnett, who I believe are in the audience.
Are they here?
Yes, so Mr. Pappas has an award for you. And if you
That's a
wanted to say
pretty
anything
tree.
about your tree, you're more than
That's a
welcome.
great tree. Yeah, that's a beautiful tree.
The only thing I can say about the tree is, you don't think much about a tree until you get with them every few years, and then you fall and you blow the leaves. There's a lot.
That's a pretty one.
I've lived there for 6 years because we are both remarried. So that's the house. She's been there since 1993.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for caring for it.
So the next category is an ornamental tree. The location was at 2862 Patterson Farms Lane. And this is a American Yellowwood. The owners are Carol and Douglas King. Ms. King is here.
I like both of them together. The colors are gorgeous. Yeah. Oh, I like them. Yeah, it is a beautiful tree.
Thanks for, I mean, it's stuff like this that makes our township great, people taking care of their trees, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And last but not least is the evergreen category. This is a Norway spruce. It is located at 2194 8 Mile Road, and the property owner there is Anthony Catanzaro. I don't know if I said that
Catanzaro.
right. All right, I apologize if I did.
Oh, that's pretty. So we got summer, fall, and winter. And you said no. There you go. Well, good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
No, thank you for letting us go around it, 'cause that's a
Yeah.
beautiful tree. Thank you very much.
It is a pretty tree. Congratulations.
Put that in the yard, if you like, and everyone's for it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Bruce, for the tree committee. Yeah, they do good work. They spend a lot of time looking at trees. They get a lot of nominations, so they're now looking for next year. So as you're out driving around, you see a pretty tree, take a picture, because we do love our trees in Anderson Township. So, Okay, the next is a resolution, that's not, let's see. I introduced it, right?
Let Paul
Oh,
do his
Paul,
part.
okay. Okay, Paul goes first. Okay,
Yes.
okay, Paul.
So it is my pleasure tonight to introduce Tom Caruso. He started his involvement with the township in the late 1990s with his interest in sidewalks and trails. He had an interest in encouraging neighborhoods to be connected with sidewalks so his children and friends could get from one neighborhood to another without having to drive. In 1999, Tom was appointed as a volunteer member of the Transportation Advisory Committee, and then ultimately Tom became the chair of TAC. Tom was hired part-time in March of 2007 as a Township Trails Coordinator at the same time as the 5-mile trail was nearing construction. Tom had worked countless hours as a volunteer to help with those easements, speaking of easements and trails, to help facilitate the construction of the 5-mile trail, so it was very timely that Tom was hired at that time. And then he helped to see this project through once it was constructed. With the adoption of the Property Maintenance Code in September 2007, Tom was hired full-time in March of 2008 in a dual role as Township Trails Coordinator and Property Maintenance Inspector. One of Tom's greatest abilities was and still is to facilitate collaboration with residents and businesses. In the beginning of our Trails program, residents were not convinced sidewalks and trails were a good thing. Many were opposed to sidewalks in front of their homes and businesses, and they didn't realize the benefits, not only for a healthier community, but also for a means to connect neighbors. Now, after over 21 miles of new sidewalks, the Trails program is one of our most popular programs in the township. Tom's title ultimately evolved into a Planner 1 position. In his planning role, national and local trends reiterated the importance of health and planning. Tom took a lead role in the township in partnering with Hamilton County Public Health's We Thrive initiative. In 2018, this marked the township's 4th year in meeting all the requirements for a We Thrive community. And then just this year in 2019, the We Thrive Anderson Committee was formed. Also, at the awards ceremony in 2018, Tom was recognized as a Community Champion Award, or with the Community Champion Award. In Tom's planner role, he also understood the importance of regional trails, not only to Anderson Township, but Cincinnati as a whole. Tom has facilitated numerous meetings with representatives from OKI, Great Parks, the City of Cincinnati, Claremont County Parks, and our neighboring townships to the east. Tom was appointed to the Tri-State Trails Executive Board and then served as chair. These partnerships have and will continue to foster regional trail growth and have Anderson Township at a seat at these discussions. On a personal note, Tom has always been very professional and generous to me, our department, and those that we serve. He has championed programs that make a difference in our community, but often go unnoticed. We are going to miss you, but we wish you much health and happiness in your retirement.
Okay. I move to adopt a resolution of appreciation with respect to the services of Tom Caruso.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Just real quick, it's been very easy working here. The township trustees, through all the years that I've worked here, the administration have all had the best wishes for the township. Everything we do is try to make the township a better place to live. And they do a lot of work making that happen. So I feel very fortunate to be able to have had this job over the last 12 years. I am retiring, I'll do some other things, but I know they will continue making Anderson a better place, and look forward to the progress. Maybe next year I'll come back and do some more volunteering, taking a year off. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
trustees messing everything up. This is not on the agenda, but that's okay.
I'm in charge, I can do whatever I want. I just want to say real quick, all the sidewalks and the walks we can do in Anderson Township, a lot of that is because of Tom. Are you really?
Seriously?
Wow, get the award and leave.
I came, I got my award, I'm out of here. This is terrible. Give me that back. Oh, let's use the baby. The baby's asleep.
Thank you, Tom. No, and we are holding that to this, I know you want a year off, but in a year. In a year. We got lots of projects for you. Don't you, Katie? On We Thrive, we have lots of projects for him. Lots of projects. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well, now it got really.
Okay, let's see. Okay, public forum. Individuals who wish to address the board should state their name and address for the record, make their points as clearly and concisely as possible, limit their comments to a maximum of 3 minutes, which may not be shared with or yielded to others. All comments shall be directed to the Board of Township Trustees. If you wish to address the board, please raise your hand, and the presiding officer will welcome you to the podium. Thank you in advance for your comments. Anyone? I read that all for nothing?
Well,
Okay,
you
let's move
read
on.
a lot more than say anything.
Trustee comments. Andrew?
What a packed house tonight.
I know.
I got nothing, but I will say, Eric, good luck. I know that our road work is now getting underway in earnest. So, residents, be on the lookout for workers that are out there doing work on the streets. Try not to park on the streets, I guess. So if you notice construction in your area, don't make it that we have to hunt you down and have you move your car. No, I know it's going to be a busy season, so good luck to Public Works. We have a lot of projects going on in the township, roadway-wise, both us and the county, so patience is appreciated, and we'll see if we get some of these potholes, roads that are in need of repair on the list and fixed, so thank you.
Thank you. I just have one comment. This Saturday is the Great American Cleanup here at the Anderson Center. We meet at 8:30. It's going to be great weather. Come on out, grab your little vest and your little pickup item, and let's clean up some neighborhoods. So it's great, and it's free food. There's lots of free food. So come on out. Just you pick an area and go clean it up. It's fun. I do it every year. I'll see you there, Andrew. Okay, Ken, Fiscal Officer.
Yes, a few days ago, we got our financial reports, our settlement from the Hamlin County Auditor, which puts us updated on our revenues. They are coming in pretty close to what we had anticipated, a little bit more, thankfully. And the expenditures are also matching up with our first quarter report, so we seem to be catching up a little bit. It's always a little bit of a wave because of the way the revenues and expenditures go out, but they're coming in pretty much as expected. We have no appropriation changes, and I see here that we have approval of some minutes for the Board of Trustees.
Okay, Andrew?
I move to approve the minutes for January 17th, 2019, February 21st, 2019, and March 7th, 2019.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Margaret?
I have no report this evening.
Okay, thank you. Paul?
I think we have pictures. So there are two nuisance-related items on our agenda tonight. The first one is located at 8415 Northport Drive. This home has been abandoned. We believe it is starting to go through the foreclosure process, and the bank has contacted us. However, there's still work to be done. So there are two resolutions for your consideration. One for the debris in the yard and the tall grass.
The back door was open.
Yes. And that is under Ohio Revised Code 505.86. And then the second resolution for your consideration is under 505.87. That would be for securance of the structure as well as securance being the doors, the windows, and
Yeah,
then
'cause we-
also
Right.
securing the house to prevent rodents from getting in.
And vandals.
And yes.
Okay.
So those, there are two separate resolutions
Right.
for your consideration. One, again, for the grass and the debris in the yard, and then the second is for securance of the structure. They have actually been over to the property. The gutter is new on that corner of the house.
Who's that?
The property maintenance folks for the bank.
Okay.
So we hope that they will continue working on the home, but in case they don't, we would ask for your consideration of the resolutions before you.
All right, I move to adopt a resolution providing for the repair and securance of unsafe structure on land owned by Jacqueline L. Ashbrook, deceased, the estate of Jacqueline L. Ashbrook, deceased, and/or Sarah Gaynell Gal Gian Ashbrook, as beneficiary under transfer on death deed located at 8415 Northport Drive in Anderson Township, and providing for notice pursuant to Section 505.86 of the revised code.
Second?
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
I also move to adopt a resolution determining the existence of nuisance on land owned by Jacqueline L. Ashbrook, deceased, the estate of Jacqueline L. Ashbrook, deceased, and/or Sarah Gaynell Gal Gian Ashbrook, as beneficiary under transfer on death deed located at 8415 Northport Drive in Anderson Township, and providing for notice and remediation pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 505.87.
Second?
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item is consideration of nuisance for property located at 1339 and 1341 Beacon. These are two separate properties with two houses. The request is nuisance abatement through 505.86 for the removal of trash. So the trash cans that you see in the photo to the right along the fence have not been emptied for quite some time. And then, Steve, if you go to those trash bags there up against the fence, and then there's just debris throughout the yard and trash throughout the yard. So there is a resolution for your consideration for just the removal of the debris and garbage at this point in time.
I move to adopt a resolution determining existence of nuisance on land owned by Noel K. Hicks. Noel K. Hicks, deceased, the estate of Noel K. Hicks, deceased, and/or Noel A. Hicks, transfer on death beneficiary located at 1339 and 1341 Beacon Road in Anderson Township, and providing for notice and remediation pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 505.87.
Second?
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Lieutenant McElroy? Nothing? Okay. Eric?
As the board is aware, the Public Works Department budgeted 2019 TIF dollars for the purchase of a new Freightliner M2 106 conventional chassis truck with a Henderson dump body, salt gate, and snow plow. This truck is identical to a truck that we purchased in 2016. We've had excellent service with Henderson and Freightliner in both. So I am recommending that we purchase a 2019 Freightliner cab and chassis for the purchase price of $154,197, utilizing the state bid process, less a $10,000 trade-in for a 2003 International truck. This truck will replace the 2003 International 4600 dump with 22,241 miles that at this point needs a lot of maintenance work. It needs a new bed, needs frame work, brakes. It's pretty rough shape. So I would like to purchase a new truck.
What color is it?
Yeah, is it red?
It's not red?
That's white.
It is white.
Sorry, Rick. Sorry, Rick. I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the purchase of a motor vehicle pursuant to Section 505.101 of the revised code, and the disposition of a surplus motor vehicle pursuant to Section 505.10A3 of the revised code as trade-in against said purchase.
Second?
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, fire and rescue, Rick.
Good evening. The fire department is this evening asking for authorization to allow Ms. Earhart to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Hamilton County Public Health Department. Essentially, it is an authorization that allows the health department to utilize our downstairs EOC in the event that their offices are unable to be inhabited for some reason. The MOU does address several technical points. The very first is that the township has the unilateral right to deny the request to use it. Any costs that are incurred resulting from their use would be reimbursed to the township. It would limit the personnel, and it would probably most importantly give the township the right to utilize the EOC if an emergency were to occur here in the township that required our use of the EOC. So there's a motion that's prepared relative to seeking that authorization.
I move to authorize the Township Administrator to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Hamilton County General Health District, DBA Hamilton County Public Health, delineating the terms and conditions of Hamilton County Public Health's potential temporary use of Anderson Township's Emergency Operations Center.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all the fire department has tonight.
So basically, we're the backup, right? That's really, and we've been the backup for a while, right?
We've kind of served as the backup for Hamilton County EMA. We haven't really had that arrangement with Public Health, although we
Okay.
have worked collaboratively with them in the past on other matters.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Vicki.
Yes, Mr. Severs has the first two items.
Good evening. One of the more visible aspects of last year's 225th celebration was the installation of street banners, approximately 100 of these throughout major corridors in our community. It really helped to raise awareness and appreciation of their anniversary and the history of our community. The Historical Society, the Anderson Township Historical Society, was a partner in that project. They worked tirelessly with staff to develop artwork and lay these banners out. We had them up through the first part of this year, but now that we moved into spring, we're now 226 years old, and rather than renumbering these and leaving them up, staff is recommending that we donate these to the Anderson Township Historical Society. There are a few families that have contacted us as well, and this would allow them to dispose of them as they see fit. Also thank them for their efforts and work with that. So there is a resolution for your consideration that would authorize that disposition, and we will keep a few on hand here for our use moving forward. So.
I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the disposition of the 225th anniversary banners pursuant to Section 505.10A7 of the revised code.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Thank you. Completely shifting gears, we've been approached recently by a number of property owners who are interested in selling their property in Anderson Township. There's a resolution in your packet that would allow Township Administrator and Assistant Administrators to continue those negotiations in the hope of reaching a purchase and sale agreement with one or more of those entities. So if there's any questions, happy to answer that. Otherwise, would appreciate your consideration of that.
I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the purchase of real property in the township pursuant to Section 511.11 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Thank you, and thank you, Margaret, for your work on that, though you didn't have a report. So.
Back in January, we asked the board to adopt a credit card policy for the township. The Ohio General Assembly changed the law back in November of 2018, and the law actually went into effect 90 days after that, requiring we have a credit card policy that was more expansive than the policy we had in place. We adopted the policy, we presented the policy, adopted it, and after that time, several of us went to training at the Ohio Township Association Winter Conference and learned a little bit about what was required under the law. For example, we understood that as long as the fiscal officer maintained the credit cards, that we were not required to have a compliance officer. Well, it turns out that that requirement is that the fiscal officer has to actually have those in his possession. We have a couple of cards, like a Lowe's card and Home Depot, that are not in his possession. So that means we have to appoint a compliance officer. Under state law, the compliance officer cannot be an employee who can utilize the card. They cannot be an employee or supervisor who allows someone else to use the card. So we have asked Margaret as our law director to fulfill that role. And that has been incorporated into the revised credit card policy, which you have before you. Also, according to the Ohio Revised Code, every 6 months as our compliance officer and the Board of Township Trustees needs to review the credit card accounts. Now, this is not an extensive review. It's basically looking at the 4 or 5 credit cards that we have, looking at the limits, and looking at the authorized users. And that has to be done every 6 months, so Margaret will be preparing that resolution for the board's consideration every 6 months.
Wonderful.
We did do some training earlier this week with a lot of our administrative staff, and should the board adopt this revised policy, we will be sending out the policy along with a letter to each and every employee that will require they acknowledge receipt of the policy, understanding of the policy, and that they sign that they understand they are liable if there are any charges that are made to those credit cards that are inappropriate. I can tell you in my 25 years here, that has never happened. We have an outstanding staff. I don't anticipate there's any issues, but again, this is coming from the Ohio General Assembly because there were other municipalities, villages, townships in the state of Ohio that did not abide by the rules. So at this point, I would just ask the board to consider the resolution adopting the revised policy.
Do I get a credit card?
No, sir.
Your name is not
You are
on
not an
this list.
authorized user.
I'm
So I don't
looking
get a
at the
credit
list.
card?
No.
So what good is this to me? Nothing.
You don't want one?
Oh,
You
no, I
don't
do
want one.
one.
And just for the public's knowledge, staff don't have credit cards per se. We have a credit card we keep in the vault. We have, accounts at like Home Depot or Lowe's if the public works crews need to go pick up, plywood or supplies or something. But we don't carry credit cards. The credit cards are, for the most part, in the vault.
Where's the vault?
Yes.
Do I get the vault? Do I get to go to the vault? I don't
Read the
even know if vault has a
resolution.
key.
Thank you.
I move to adopt a resolution approving and adopting the Anderson Township credit card account policy dated April 2019, repealing resolution number 19-0117-07 and designating the township's law director to serve as the compliance officer to perform the duties required of the compliance officer required under said policy.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Thank you. It's the time of year when we receive notice from Hamilton County Stormwater District about some fees that we typically are pass along to property owners through their tax bills. This is in order to make sure that we fulfill the requirements of the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency regulations and Stormwater Phase 2 permit services. Hamilton County Stormwater performs those services for us, and then residents are charged a minimal amount, about $15 for a tax year. So there is a motion before you that would authorize this continued practice. The fees have not increased for the last several years, so they remain the same.
I move that the Township Administrator be and is hereby authorized to execute on behalf of this board the Stormwater District level of service options and service fees for 2020 with the Hamilton County Stormwater District in substantially the form before this board, with such changes thereto as shall not, in her judgment, after consultation with the law director, be detrimental to the township. Such determination being evidenced by her execution of said agreement.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Thank you. The last item we have is an item arising from executive session discussion, and that would be a motion to appoint to reappoint Rob Herking and reappoint Colin Ramsey to the Anderson Township Park District Board of Commissioners for 3-year terms to commence on May 1st, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all we have for the board this evening.
Okay, everyone, our next regular monthly board meeting will be May 16th, 2019 at 6 p.m. Citizens should call 688-8400 to confirm, and we'll see you next month. Thank you all.
Motion to
Meeting
adjourn.
adjourned. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Travis?
Yes.
Ms. Stone?
Yes.
Dee did very well tonight.
Thank you,
Very
Andrew.
impressed by your
In spite of your trying to distract her.
Thank you.